Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm doing a blue creation. I'm going to take you down to see the canvas, how I prepare my canvas, and all the paints within this design. So this creation is going to contain 5 blues and 1 white. And I'm really excited to talk through the technique that I'm going to use today. Thank you so much for all of your support. It's so great to have you here with me as I also learn and evolve as an artist. So, are you ready? As always, let's see what we can create. So this is going to be my colour palette for today. And as you can see, I'm using a mixture of Arteza with Amsterdam paints. So I've got a white, which is my titanium white. And then I've got 5 different blue tones. I'm going to list all of these colours in the description box. So be sure to open that description box up, have a look at the information in there, including the consistencies. These paints are mixed with a pouring medium and water. And today's combination is 1 part paint, 1 part water, and 3 parts pouring medium. So they're all the same consistency. I'll show you the canvas. Let's go. So I'm using a deep edge canvas. You'll see here the deep edge. This size is a 24 by 12 inch. The canvases that I buy always come wrapped in cellophane. So I obviously undo the cellophane. You might see something like this within the pack. That's just to absorb any moisture when it's in storage. And the corners you'll also see probably on your canvas. Now these corners help stretch the canvas if it sags. So you don't always have to put those on, but if you did, you would put them in to each corner here. And what that does is that literally helps the canvas bar and the canvas to stretch. But I've checked my canvas today and it's all okay, so I don't need those. I will place those to one side. I unwrap my canvas, and I'm very conscious when you're touching your canvas, your skin will have natural oils on it. You probably think that they're clean and dry. My hands are clean and they are dry, but it won't stop me from transferring any natural oils I've got on my skin onto the canvas. So when I'm undoing it, I always take the corner where it's protected to kind of handle it. So I take the cellophane off, and then I will take this off eventually, which is just the corner to protect it. And then what I do is I use a frog tape. There are other tapes available, but I've just come to accustomed to using this one. And I will tape off all of my underneath. And this is basically to protect the underneath. Some artists don't use this, that's fine. I have found personally that clients do like a clean back. But all I would say is when you're creating, you're the artist, you're the creator, and if you have messy backs to your paintings, then that's just the way that you do it. So the paintings will hang on a wall. You won't ever see the back of this. But I just want to provide a clean back to all of my creations. Especially if I'm going to pick the canvas up and tilt it out and the paint's going to go down the side. So that's how I prepare my canvas ready for pouring. So let's start with this creation. I'm using a cookie cutter as my open cup. But first of all, I'm going to place some paint on the surface area of the canvas. I always start in the middle, so I pour my paint from the cup onto the canvas, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to pick my canvas up and I'm going to tilt the canvas from side to side just to spread that paint out a little bit across the surface area. I'm not going to put the paint across the full surface area. That's going to happen when I do my open cups and tilt it out fully. But this is really just to help the flow of the paint leave the open cup, in this case the cookie cutter, and then disperse underneath the cookie cutter, and the paint will help it flow across the canvas. So I'm going to place the cookie cutter in the paint, and then I'm going to take one colour at a time, place the paint in the middle of the cookie cutter, so inside the cup area, and pour the paint from the cup into the cookie cutter. And I'm going to do that over and over again and repeat that process with each of the colours. So I've got enough paint in my cup now, and I'm just going to slowly lift the cookie cutter up from the surface area of the canvas, and as I lift it, the paint will disperse underneath. It will escape from that cookie cutter underneath the white paint and spread out across the canvas itself. You can probably see here those blue tones that are underneath that white, and the build-up of the volume of paint around the cookie cutter. So you can see where that paint has escaped to. So I've now released all of that paint that I've layered, and I'm going to repeat the process, one colour at a time, in the cookie cutter before I lift it up and allow that paint to disperse across the canvas. So this is looking good. I'm loving those blues that are popping through. So I'm just going to do this one more time and then drag the cup to the outer edge of the canvas before I start tilting it out. You'll see here that I'm just lifting the cookie cutter, the cup, gently, allowing that paint to escape, dragging it across that area where there's some white paint underneath. And then once all of the paint has escaped from the cup, I just lift the cookie cutter up, place it to one side, and then use my torch to pop any air bubbles that have formed within the paint. It's at this stage that I really am interested to show you this design. So let me just take you in for a close-up now, so you can see how some of that paint is still laying underneath that white paint and the pattern that's already forming on top. It's now about tilting out the canvas, expanding the paint, so opening up the pattern that's been created, and just tilting it from side to side, allowing that white paint to flow along with the blues that we've put within our cookie cutter. And this is about ensuring that the paint covers the full surface area of the canvas. And once I push the paint down one side and over the edge, I then bring it back on itself to allow me to use the volume of that paint that's already on the canvas to cover the full surface area. My advice to you would be to really take your time, really look at how that pattern opens up, have a look at the composition as you go, Decide what to tilt over the edges and what you want to bring back on itself to ensure that it is part of that overall creation on the surface area. Again, just take your time, tilt from side to side, allow that paint to flow in the areas that you want it, and then bring it back on itself to use that volume of paint you've already got to cover the white area of the canvas. And as soon as you're happy with the overall look and the composition and those tones that you're using, place it down and then remove all the drips from around the edges. If you remove those drips, it minimises any further movement on top. If you leave the drips down the side, it will pull the design, that pattern, from the surface area and down the edge. So by removing those drips really helps you maintain the pattern that you're happy with. So I'm going to take you in now for a close-up of the wet version, and you can see all those different tones. This was obviously a blue colour palette, different tones of blue, but I really love how they work together and create other tones of that same colour, and how those blues have been enabled me to create some depth within this piece. I'm going to let this dry, and then I'll take you in for a closer look at the dry version. So here we go, the dried version. I'm so happy how it's dried, and just by adding that little bit of white on the base, although it's helped with the movement of this piece, you can see some of that white popping up from underneath, and that was really helped by using that open cup technique. I love the depth to this piece. It's definitely reminding me of an ocean vibe. I just love to see what's in the depths of the ocean, and you can see all those different tones of blue and the shapes and patterns it's created. I've had so much fun doing this. I'm definitely in love with the open cup again. I'm going to be doing some more creations with this technique, so stay tuned for those in the coming weeks and months ahead. But for now, thank you so much for joining me today. I really hope you have a great week ahead, and I hope I get to see you again in the next video. Thanks again everyone for all of your support, and I'll see you soon. And don't forget to check out all the information in the description box below. I list all my colours, all my consistencies and all my ratios. See you soon. Bye.